Well, with the average cost of a new vehicle now about $65,000, if you're buying one, you want to make sure it's built to last.
You also want it to be safe and reliable, as well as a good value.
Right now, thousands of people are realizing the same thing at the same time, and it's not what they expected. Buying a new car in 2026 felt like the safe move. Reliable, modern, easy. But a few months in, that confidence starts to fade. The features don't feel as useful. The costs don't feel as small, and the ownership experience doesn't feel as simple as it used to. But here's where it gets worse. When the excitement disappears, all that's left is the reality. And for a lot of buyers, that reality is hitting harder than expected. So what's actually going on? The new feeling did not last. A lot of regret starts with something simple. The excitement did not last as long as the bill did. That sounds obvious, but it matters more than people think. When you first buy a new car, your brain does a lot of work for it. You forgive little things, you overlook stuff that would bother you in any older car. You tell yourself the screen is not that slow, the seat is fine, the ride is fine, the noise is normal, the touch controls are modern, the warning chimes are there for safety. You give the car extra grace because it's new, and because you just spent real money on it. Then normal life starts. You drive it to work, you sit in traffic, you use it when you're tired, you try to do simple things without thinking. That is when the truth shows up. A thing that looked clean in the showroom starts feeling fussy every morning. A feature that sounded smart starts slowing you down. A cabin that felt special for 3 days starts feeling like just another place to sit while your money leaves your account once a month. That first drop matters because it changes the whole deal in your head. You stop judging the car like a dream and start judging it like a tool. And once that happens, little problems feel bigger. The car has to earn its place now. It can't just look good parked outside. It has to make your day easier, calmer, and cheaper than the car you had before. A lot of new cars do not clear that bar as easily as people hoped. That is why regret often starts as a quiet feeling, not a dramatic one. Nobody wakes up one morning and says they hate the car. It's more like a slow change in mood. They get in, drive, get out, and start feeling less proud of the decision. Nothing is terribly wrong, but nothing feels worth what they signed up for either. And once that feeling starts, the next layer usually doesn't take long to show itself. And this is where it usually starts to shift. That first feeling doesn't last as long as people expect. So I'm curious, did yours hold up or did it change? Let me know in the comments. And if this is already making sense, hit like so more people see it. The car felt smarter, but living with it felt worse. This is where a lot of people in 2026 get caught off guard. In the showroom, modern tech sells hard. Big screens, wireless phone connection, voice commands, app control, driver aids, updates over the air, digital menus for everything. It all sounds clean and advanced, but the question isn't whether it sounds good for 5 minutes. The question is whether it feels good every day for 3 years. For a lot of owners, it does not. The simple truth is that too many new cars ask you to go through a screen for things that used to take 1 second with a button. Climate settings, seat controls, drive modes, safety alerts, audio menus, phone pairing, even glove box and light settings in some cases. None of that sounds terrible on paper. In real life, it gets old, especially if you're not buying a car to play with software. You're buying it to go somewhere. That is one reason recent dependability studies keep pointing back to the same problem. J.D. Power said long-term vehicle problems hit a new high again in its 2026 study, and infotainment stayed the biggest trouble area. It also pointed to weak over-the-air update performance as part of the problem. A year earlier, the same study was already flagging phone connection, built-in Bluetooth, and wireless internet software defects as common owner complaints. And that matches what a lot of owners say in plain language. The car is fine, but the software keeps doing annoying little things. The phone will not connect right away. The camera view lags. The menu takes too many steps. The update changes something you finally got used to. The warning systems beep when you do not want them to, then stay quiet when you do. None of this sounds like engine failure. That is exactly why it is so easy to dismiss. But when you deal with it every week, it slowly changes how you feel about the car. This is where older buyers especially start pulling away from new cars, not because they hate technology. A lot of them do not. They just know the difference between useful and busy. They know when a machine is helping and when it is asking for attention all the time. A car is supposed to lower your mental load. A lot of new ones do the opposite. And when even normal driving starts feeling like too much menu work, the next regret is usually not far behind. Some features never really felt like yours. There's another reason some owners start cooling off on new cars. They begin to notice that certain features do not feel like part of a simple one-time purchase anymore. They feel tied to an account, a phone app, a modem, a trial period, or a service plan sitting in the background. That doesn't bother everybody, but for a lot of people it changes the feeling of ownership. Toyota says some Remote Connect and Drive Connect services come with trial periods and then require a paid subscription after that. Ford says eligible owners can activate, buy, cancel, and in some cases auto-renew connected services through the phone app or owner account, with paid add-on services and subscription packages tied to the vehicle. Now, to be clear, not every feature in every new car is locked behind a fee. That would be too simple. The point is that the whole relationship has changed. A lot of buyers grew up thinking of a car as something you bought, maintained, and drove. More cars now come with a digital layer wrapped around them. You may need the phone app for certain functions. You may get used to a service during the free period. Then later you have to decide whether to keep paying, give it up, or live with the feeling that part of the car is now only half there. That feeling matters more than the industry likes to admit, because even when the dollar amount isn't huge, the message is. The message is that ownership is becoming less clean than it used to be. More permissions, more accounts, more terms, more little reminders that the machine is connected to a system bigger than you. For some buyers, that's fine. For others, especially people who want a car to be simple and settled once they buy it, it's one more thing that makes the whole purchase feel less satisfying over time. And once the car starts feeling like an ongoing relationship instead of a completed purchase, people get less patient with every other little problem around it. That is when ordinary issues begin to feel bigger than they should. Small problems started feeling bigger than they should. This is the part many people do not think about when they sign. Not big breakdowns, not horror stories, just normal life. A cracked light, a scraped bumper, a dead sensor, a windshield that used to be simple and now needs calibration, a battery replacement that is not hard but somehow still turns into a process. This is where a lot of buyers start learning that the new car is not just expensive to buy, it is expensive to disturb. Modern safety systems absolutely help in many situations. That part is real, but there is another side to it. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety and Highway Loss Data Institute said many crash avoidance systems are linked with higher claim severity, partly because sensors and related parts are expensive to replace when damage does happen. That means a small hit can turn into a bigger bill than people expect. You are not just fixing plastic anymore. You may be dealing with cameras, radar, brackets, wiring, calibration, software checks, and labor that stacks up fast. So the owner who thought it was only a minor bump suddenly gets a number that feels more like punishment than repair. Even outside accidents, the same pattern shows up. More systems mean more chances for something small to become irritating and expensive. A car can still run fine and still make you tired of owning it. That is the key point. Regret does not always come from one huge failure. A lot of the time, it comes from the feeling that every little thing around the car became more delicate, more costly, and more dependent on somebody else. And once a person starts feeling that, the payment starts to look different too. At first, it was part of the excitement, then it becomes something else. It becomes the monthly reminder that all of this is supposed to be worth it. The payment started feeling different. This is where the mood changes fast. When people first buy a new car, the payment feels tied to the reward. They just got something shiny, clean, newer, and full of promise, so the number feels easier to accept. It feels like progress. It feels like they moved up. A few months later, the same number can start feeling like a weight, not because it changed, but because the feeling around it changed. The car is normal now. The daily drive is normal now. The excitement is gone, but the payment is still sitting there every month asking the same thing from the household budget whether life is smooth or not. And the numbers are not small. Experience said that in the fourth quarter of 2025, the average monthly payment for a new vehicle rose to $767. The average loan amount reached $43,582, and the average interest rate for a new vehicle was 6.37%. Now think about that the way normal people feel it, not the way a finance office explains it. $767 is not just a payment. It is groceries, it is school money, it is emergency money, it is breathing room. So when a buyer starts feeling only mildly happy with the car, that number starts getting judged harder, and it should. This is also why regret shows up faster in hard months. Maybe insurance renews higher than expected. Maybe work slows down. Maybe another bill appears. Maybe the household just gets tired of how much money one machine is taking. A car can still be good and still not feel good enough to justify what it costs every month. That is a big difference, and a lot of people learn it too late. Once that door opens, buyers stop asking, "Do I like my car?" and start asking, "Was this really worth it?" And when that question shows up, the full ownership cost is usually waiting right behind it. The real cost showed up after the sale. Most buyers already know new cars are expensive. That is not the surprise. The surprise is how many other costs keep showing up after the deal is done. That is where the regret becomes real. The average buyer paid about $49,191 for a new vehicle in January 2026, and Kelley Blue Book also reported the average manufacturer's suggested retail price had stayed above $50,000 for 10 straight months. On top of that, the American Automobile Association said the average cost to own and operate a new vehicle in 2025 was $11,577 a year, or about $965 a month. And that is why people feel blindsided. They focus on the payment because that is the number right in front of them. But the payment is only one part of the story. Insurance, registration, taxes, interest, maintenance, repairs, tires, fuel, charging in some cases, and the little random costs that come with newer vehicles all pile on top. The car keeps asking for money in different voices. This is where some buyers get bitter. Not because the dealer lied in some dramatic movie way, but because the whole ownership picture was never sitting in front of them in one honest sentence. Nobody says, "This car may still feel ordinary to you in 6 months, but it will keep taking nearly $1,000 a month from your life in one form or another." If they heard it put that way, more people would slow down. And once they do slow down, they notice the one thing that hurts even more than the cost going out. They notice how fast the value is falling while the debt stays right where it is. That is the chapter where regret usually stops being a feeling and turns into hard math. The value dropped faster than they expected. This is the part that stings, because most people do not see it day by day. They feel the payment every month, but they don't feel depreciation until they try to sell, trade, or even just check what the car is worth. Then the number shows up and hits them in the face. Edmunds says new cars lose an average of 23.5% of their manufacturer's suggested retail price after the first year. Kelley Blue Book says the average 2026 model will retain only about 45% of its original value after 5 years. In plain terms, that means a $50,000 car may be worth somewhere close to $22,500 after that period. That is why people say things like, "The car is still almost new, so why is the trade number so bad?" Because newness and value do not move together the way people hope. The minute that car becomes used, it enters a different world. The next buyer wants a discount. The dealer wants margin. The lender still wants the full payment, and the owner is stuck in the middle trying to make sense of numbers that don't feel fair. This is one reason regret feels sharper in 2026 than it did in simpler times. The price of getting in is already high, so the drop in value feels bigger emotionally, not just financially. When people realized they paid new car money for something that now gets treated like just another used unit on a lot, it changes how they see the whole purchase. And for some people, that shock creates the worst next move of all. They want out. They don't want to sit with the mistake, so they tried to trade their way into a better feeling. That's usually where the damage gets deeper. Trying to escape usually made it worse. A lot of buyers think regret has a simple fix. Just trade the car, start over, get something cheaper, smaller, older, or maybe just different enough to make the bad feeling go away. The problem is that the math usually comes with them. Edmunds reported that in the fourth quarter of 2025, a record 27% of underwater trade-ins carried five-figure negative equity, meaning $10,000 or more still owed beyond what the vehicle was worth. That is not a small problem. That is a debt problem wearing a car badge. And once people roll that kind of money into the next vehicle, the next payment has to carry not only the new car, but part of the old mistake too. That is how a person ends up paying a lot of money every month and still feeling like they are never getting ahead. This is where regret turns into a cycle. The first car disappointed them. The second deal was supposed to fix it. Instead, it buried the problem deeper. The household budget gets tighter, the ownership window gets shorter, the person gets more tired and less patient. Then the car industry starts looking less like a world of choices and more like a system designed to keep people moving debt around. To be fair, not every person trapped in that cycle made a foolish choice. Some just bought too much car at the wrong time. Some trusted the monthly number instead of the full picture. Some assumed they would keep the vehicle longer than they actually did. Some got hit by life. But the result is the same. Once you are upside down, buying your way out usually costs more than driving your way through. That is why the smartest part of this whole conversation is not telling everybody to swear off new cars forever. It's knowing who should still buy one and who really should not. Because there are people who can make a new car work well. The problem is that too many buyers do not fit that group as neatly as they think. Who should still buy new in 2026? Let's be fair here. Buying new is not automatically a mistake. Some people should absolutely do it. But the reason matters, the numbers matter, the kind of person matters. A new car can make sense if you plan to keep it a long time, not just until you get bored. It can make sense if you're buying a model with a strong reputation, not a fresh redesign with too many new things to prove. It can make sense if you want the warranty and you honestly value that peace of mind. It can make sense if you have a solid down payment, a stable budget, and enough breathing room that the car does not run your life. It can make sense if you're the kind of owner who buys carefully, maintains carefully, and keeps the machine long enough for the early depreciation to stop mattering so much. But that is not how a lot of people buy. A lot of people buy from emotion, pressure, ego, or fatigue. They are tired of repairs. They want a fresh start. They want to reward themselves. They want to feel current. They want something that looks like they are doing better. All of that is human. None of it is a strong buying method. If you are thinking about buying new in 2026, keep it simple. Ask yourself a few blunt questions. If this car feels ordinary in 90 days, will the payment still feel fine? If the value drops hard, will I care? If insurance and repair costs run higher than I hope, can I absorb that without resentment? Am I buying this because it makes my life easier, or because I want the feeling of having something new? Those questions will protect you more than most sales talk ever will. And that is really the whole point. The people who regret buying new cars in 2026 are usually not weak buyers or stupid buyers. They are buyers who saw the purchase clearly on day 1, but not clearly enough on day 90. That is where the truth tends to live. The hard part is not getting the car. The hard part is living with it when it stops feeling special. That is where regret starts for a lot of people. Not with one huge disaster, but with a slow change in how the deal feels. The tech gets old fast. Small problems cost more than they should. The payment stays heavy, the value drops. Then starting over starts looking tempting, and that can make things worse. So no, this is not about saying every new car is a bad idea. It's about knowing whether a new car still fits your life after the excitement wears off. If it does not, that regret can get expensive fast. And that's the part too many people learn only after they sign. That's the part most people only understand after they've already signed. The car didn't fail, the experience did. And once that shift happens, it's hard to ignore. Now I want to hear from you. Did buying new feel worth it after a few months, or did the reality hit differently? Drop your experience in the comments. If you found this honest and useful, hit like and subscribe for more real-world breakdowns like this. Because the smartest decisions aren't made at the dealership. They're made when you know what actually happens after you drive away.